5. Rigging mouth. In order to start rigging anything in Live2D, we need to create their mesh. Automatic mesh generator can do an okay job, but for precision it is better to create mesh manually. First, let's start from making mesh of mouth. First, select your upper mouth layer and double-click on it with left mouse click to enter mesh editing mode. You can also press Ctrl E to open mesh editing mode, whichever suits you best. Now press Ctrl A to select all the art mesh and click on Delete key on your keyboard to delete previous mesh. Now select Stroke Mesh Mapping tool and draw along the lip line of upper mouth. It don't have to be perfect. Increase number of vertices in mesh width to 3, decrease the density. You can zoom in and out with the help of mouse wheel and drag the screen with space mouse, left click drag. Make sure your mouth mesh width is equal or greater than lip outline. You can click anywhere to insert new points for adjustment of mesh form until it's completely aligned with the lip line. Once we are done, press Shift E. Now go back to Add Point tool and start making similar meshes around the lip. Make sure all the visible layer is inside the mesh. Once we are done, you can click Auto Connect to connect remaining vertices. Now we are going to exit by clicking on the tick. Keep saving your files, it's a good practice which can save you from losing hours of work in case of any crash. Now select the upper mouth layer we just created mesh and press Ctrl C. Now select lower mouth layer and go to Mesh Editor by pressing Ctrl E, then press Ctrl V. It will only work if you are in Add Point tool. Since automatic mesh didn't cover the whole layer, it made the parts which are outside mesh invisible, so that's why I advised you to create vertices around whole layer. So I am creating temporary vertices around the layer so we can see it thoroughly. Save and exist and Ctrl E again. We can see the whole layer now. Now to delete previous vertices, you can press Alt or Option on Mac and click on the vertices you want to delete. Or you can click on Ctrl or Command on Mac with a mouse, drag on left click, which works similar to lasso tool to select all the vertices at once. Once you have deleted them all, similarly create the vertices and follow along. Now create the mesh for lip highlight or lips layer if you have any. Now comes your tongue. Its layer don't have to be so dense and precise. Mainly we make dense meshes on places where there is lot of change in geometry or shapes of the art meshes, such as eyelids and mouth. You can click on these eyes to hide or unhide layers. Now go to your inner mouth layer and copy its ID. You can either copy it from here or press Ctrl C after selecting it. Now we are going to paste this ID in clipping ID of tongue, so our tongue is only visible when it's inside the inner mouth layer. Now time to make mesh for inner mouth as well. We are going to make mesh similarly for inner mouth. Once we are done, go to Parameter window and make 2 parameters after selecting Mouth Open Param. Once these points of params are green, select the inner mouth art mesh and select the bounding box from top and slide it down. Bounding box will not show up if you are not at the green point in param window. So make sure you are at 0 at mouth open. You can quickly hide or unhide the bounding box by pressing Alt-V. We set up this shortcut in previous videos. We are now going to work with Deform Path Edit tool. You can quickly turn it on by pressing P on keyboard or by clicking here. Now make 3 points with left mouth click. Once you are done, press A button to go back at arrow tool. Press Shift and select both 2 points at end and then move them according to mouth line form. You can even move them one by one, it doesn't matter much. You can click on P again and add more points for precision. Then press a key again and align the mesh perfectly. Now you can see when we are going to slide the parameter from 0 to 1. It will open the mouth. Press Ctrl L to show center line, which we made before. Select upper mouth and add 2 keyforms. Start adding points by pressing P. Learn the keyboard shortcuts, they make your jobs easier. Now try to make open mouth shape for upper mouth. We are going to follow same for lower mouth. As you can see, we forget to add keyform for lower mouth, so it's not moving when we slide through the parameter. Luckily, we have a way to save the job. Add keyform on the parameter and go to keyform 0 and press Ctrl-Shift-R to make restore the mesh to default. You can select more than one mesh by pressing Shift. You can delete the path when you are in arrow tool by selecting one of the points and press delete. Press D for deform brush tool. I found this tool very useful. You can press B and mouth left click and slide it up and down to make the brush smaller or larger according to your need. Okay, now we are setting up inner mouth so it fills properly. Now we are going to work on 2 mesh together. You can delete the path points when you are in Deform Path Edit tool by pressing Alt together with mouse click. Delete the path on one mouth form so it don't cause any problems. Now select both mesh together and add the points like mine. You can adjust the mesh according to your liking. You can add more mesh to existing paths by selecting them together and press P, then move any of your points and they are now connected together. Once you are done, select all 3 mesh together and add 3 keyforms to mouth form. Now we will make different mouth shapes for mouth form. I got some reference by the artist, so I am going to try using them. At the center of mouth form, usually we make a mouth shape. You can press S to enter solo mode, to focus on specific art mesh or bunch of them together. You can also enter in solo mode to see the reference of any specific art mesh. You can also copy keyforms from one place to another. Right-click on the keyforms, then select. It will select all the art mesh on that keyform. Press Ctrl-Shift-C. You can double-click the parameter again to add more keyforms in between. Go to New Keyform and press Ctrl-Shift-V and it will paste it. For now, I am going to paste it here at -1. Then at double-clicking the parameter you can delete the keyform if you click on it. Now time to make mouth shapes on closed mouth. At -1 we make frown or angry mouth shape. So I am similarly going to use the reference again. This red bounding box can get in way sometimes, so you can hide or unhide it with shortcut Alt-V, which we set up earlier. So I copied the mouth form from +1 to 0 at mouth open 1. At +1 mouth form, we make smiley open and close mouth. So I am going to make a smiley mouth. Now at last, we are going to make a mouth shape for mouth form 0. You can click here to link two parameters together. And now you will be able to move them together to see how they works together. You can make more than 3 mouth forms together. But I found 3 or 4 mouth forms works best. Now time to do our tongue. Unlink our parameters, select our tongue and start working on it. Similarly, we will keyform the tongue on mouth form as well. Once we are done, time to work on the teeths. I like to add a keyform at 0.5 on mouth open. We'll keyform all the art mesh here expect tongue. Now we are going to adjust the meshes to show grin. Once you are done, to check if everything is symmetrical, I got a nice hack. Take a snapshot by clicking here, then reflect it horizontally. If your model is at center, then it will properly align, but for mine case it wasn't, so I will have to adjust it. Press Shift and then move it left-right. Now you can see if your mouth shape is symmetrical and you can fix the anomaly. Lock the layer by clicking here so it don't get in your way. Once we are done with it, we will hide the snapshot and take another. We'll do this for all the mouth shapes, which is 9 for our case. We will add 2 more in between mouth shapes. With P tool, we can click here to make the path pointy at the ends. Everything looks good now. Time to make our teeth layer visible, and at first, we will clip the teeth on inner mouth. Looks much better now. Similarly, we will make mesh for both upper and lower teeth. You can click here at 4 division to make mesh denser. It's not visible cause we clipped it. Let's delete the clipping ID for now. Once we are done, we will add clipping ID. Select your teeth and click here to create wrap deformer. Rename your layer so it's easier to find later. Press Ctrl and Alt together and expand the deformer. You want your deformer to cover the art mesh entirely. We will be making some movements to art mesh of teeth later, so we are making the deformer bigger so it don't go outside the deformer. It's a good practice and is very important when you are making model for games. Make sure center of the deformer is at the center of the guideline. This only applies to the mesh, which can be split in two parts equally, through the center of guideline, such as face contour, torso, and skirt. Not for parts like eyes and arms. Unless we are going to combine both arms or eyes together in same layer. It makes our life easier and can save from 30 to 50% of our work. We are going to keyform the deformers of teeth on the mouth perm and start working on it line we did with art mesh. These green handles helps a lot in deforming the art mesh. Press Shift while moving deformers. In this way, it will only move along horizontally or vertically. You can click on number 1, 2, or 3. It will pass through default preset of Bezier division. If none of these works, you can change Bezier division numbers here to increase or decrease the green handles of your liking. You can click here to activate Graph tool. It helps in aligning the Bezier symmetrically. You can select all the deformer at once to work together along the mesh in solo mode. It's useful when your layer is hidden. Select the mesh of both upper and lower teeth and press Ctrl D, it will select the parent deformer. It's quite useful shortcut, so don't forget it. Similarly, we will keyform the deformers at mouth form as well and start working along it. Looks like teeth are finally done. Now time to work on other set of teeth. First we will hide the current teeth for time being. We will make mesh for it first after making it visible. We can move the art mesh of second set of teeth inside the deformer of first set teeth. Select Correct Deformer from Deformer pop-up. Now it will start working like the previous teeths, but make sure the deformer is at default position and is not deformed before moving the mesh inside it, otherwise it will not work perfectly. It's not perfectly aligning. If we try to align the first teeth set, we'll have issues, so we are going to make new deformers for these set of teeth. You can simply drag and drop the art mesh outside the deformer in Deformer window. You can select the mesh and press Ctrl-Shift-R to revert the shape to original just in case. We will repeat all the steps like previous set of teeth. We also have a fong for this teeth. Unfortunately, the outline of fong is a brown color, which look kind of strange. So we will change this in PSD and import the layer again. Here we will learn how you can change the layer in PSD without losing your Live2D progress. Replacing the art mesh that is a PSD layer in other term is one of the most crucial things in your Live2D journey. So let's get started. Open your PSD file in your choice of application, go to the layer which we are going to edit, it's fong layer in my case. Duplicate the layer, don't touch the original layer and make sure not change the layer order of any of your previous layers. Otherwise, you won't be able to edit them in future. So we are going to work on new layer. Once we have made the changes to new layer, we are merging them. Now move your layer below the original layer. Hide the original layer and then merge all the layer together. When the layer merges, if the new layer keeps the name of original layer, then it's a success. For some applications you need to keep the new layer above the original layer. Now save the PSD and open your Live2D file. Simply drag and drop the PSD file in your Live2D application. Choose your file name. Click on Replace and you will see no new layers have been formed and our previous layer have been updated. After importing the layer, save your Live2D file with Ctrl+S, click on Yes. It will update your PSD file and delete older one. If you don't do this step, Live2D will keep stacking older PSD files and size of your Live2D file will increase and your application will become slow and laggy. So always save your Live2D file after re-importing PSD. Unfortunately, it didn't work well for that layer, so we are going to edit again to make some new layers. I am going to make two layers, one black layer, which will act as outline of fangs, and another white layer. You can add layers for better visibility. Once you are done with editing, you can delete them or you can simply ignore them. By the way, you can also edit the original layer as long you don't move its layer position in the Layer tab, but to be on safe side, I likes to leave the original layer alone and later merge them. So now we are going to import the PSD again. Select and replace. Don't forget to save your Live2D file after save as always. New layer will come at top at part window. Part window is similar to layer order in your image making apps, so the layer at top will stay at top of other layers. We are going to cut the tooth layer with Ctrl X and paste it below the upper mouth layer. We will copy the mesh shape with original tooth layer by Ctrl C, then paste it inside Mesh Edit tool with Ctrl V. We are going to add both of these layer inside a deformer and work through them. Now we will keyform the black outline, so we can hide it when the mouth opens. White tooth layer have some black outline, we will fix that in PSD again. Looks much better now. I am going to add one more keyform at point 2. Once we are done with mouth open, we will similarly add keyforms to mouth form as well. As you can see, teeth is moving horizontally while moving vertically, so we can use a tool called onion skinning to see how our tooth is moving by clicking here. It makes our computer laggy while working on it, so don't worry, it's not only your computer. As you can see, it is showing the intermediate state of the layer, which we have selected. If we select the deformer points, it will show the path that it is following along the keyforms. Once we are done using it, turn it off. We will keyform the teeth outline on mouth form as well and adjust it accordingly. Once we are done with the fong, we will unhide the teeth layer which we hidden before. I want the layer to only show up when teeth are not touched with each other, so we can have a fine outline. First, we will position this teeth at exact place of our previous teeth, which we have worked on till now. Now move this teeth layer inside the deformer of teeth. Now let's clip it on inner mouth. Before we do that, let's finish the fong first. This took a lot of time, so be patient and make sure it looks good at each key form. Working with fangs like this take longer time than those which only shows when mouth is open. We are going to make a new parameter to switch between our different set of teeth. We are going to name it switch teeth. I am making a deformer at top of fong. We will use it to hide the fong when keyform is at 0. Now we will select all the one set of teeth and go to multiple key editing. Here we can work on multiple keyforms at same time. We are going to deselect at keyform 1, we will change the opacity to 0, so it will be 0 at all the keyforms which are select expect 1. Now OK, and it will hide. And only show at keyform 1. This hiding transition is not looking that good, so we are going to squeeze the tooth as they are hiding. It looks much better now. Now we are going to unhide our another set of teeth. We will hide them opposite end of teeth, switch key parameter. Now the teeth will switch. That's how we make expressions in Live2D. Now about time we finally fix our teeth line. Double-click the mouth open parameter to add new keyforms. I am adding it at point 55. We want our outline teeth to only show after keyform point 55 because that's where the teeth split apart. Then go to multiple key editing. Deselect point 55 and one keyform and change the opacity to 0. So we are going at all the keyforms when both upper and lower teeth are touching each other. It looks good, but I don't like how it looks at certain keyforms, so I am going to use the same method and add some more keyforms and hide it some other places as well, so it suits to my liking. Now finally our mouth is finished. You don't want to copy my mouth shapes, cause it might not look good on your model. Every model is unique, and at the end of this model I end up redoing the mouth shapes. This is a general mouth shape which works with most of the models, so take a screenshot and use it as reference. See you next time.